Hey, what's up guys? So today we're talking about the most common techniques from karate found in MMA. So if you guys are new to this channel, my goal is to show that karate came from Okinawa and it's also a clinch fighting grappling type of style, not the long range style that you typically see in media and cinema. And because of that, my goal is to show all the practical applications of those forms or katas that you see people practicing. So the first one we're going to go into is the forearm frame, and we call these frames within the clinch. And it's actually going to be the shuto uke, and people call this a knife hand block, and it's like a misnomer. You think knife hand and you're thinking using it like a sword or something to block something from a long distance, and then they call it a block. As you guys know, in Japanese the term is uke, meaning to receive something. If you guys think you're gonna put a form across someone's throat or someone's neck because you're receiving their forward energy, then it makes a little more sense because you're actually going to put a wall up there as a frame. The same thing's gonna happen to you when you put a wall up to kind of raise somebody's center of gravity up. So you imagine putting a form below their chin and raising their chin up. That's gonna make them stand tall and allow you to go and grab their legs for single, double, anything like that, any type of takedown. And you see some examples here that I'm just gonna commentate through. All right, so this first clip here is just a drill from a pretty famous karate guy in the YouTube space, Ian Abernathy. So he actually shows a shuto uke partner drill here. I just love seeing this stuff, especially if you guys have never considered karate as a close range clinch fighting type of style. He uses that knife hand block, as you guys can see here. It looks exactly like the kata itself. Even the bottom arm here is checking the opponent's arm, as the top arm is either doing a forearm strike to the neck or framing against the opponent. So again, he does this going forward, going back. Even here, the hands pointed up just like the kata too, and you can imagine that's like you're grabbing onto your opponent's limb, pulling them into the strike or framing them away as they pressure forward. So this next clip here again shows a gentleman doing the traditional looking shuto uke, hand pointed up towards the ceiling. I'm sure anyone who's made fun of karate has done this move before. It's like the stereotypical image of a karate person. But once you apply it to the clinch range, again, you see this strike to the throat or frame across the neck. From there, the hand that goes across the throat actually hooks behind the neck and pulls the person into a shuffled knee. You see this all the time in MMA, and it's rarely attributed to traditional karate. Now here it is in a sparring situation. You can see there the gentleman shot in and used that frame as a way to ram into his opponent. And then he went off to an angle here, and he's going to throw this knee up the center. Boom. And here's another karate gentleman who has the arm in an arm lock, semi-hyperextension of the elbow, but it's just a controlling point at the tricep there. But again, he's going to use the knife hand block as an actual strike to the base of the neck. And now, if you guys don't know who this is John Jones, and he does it in this fight. John Jones is great at using his reach and using his limbs to keep his opponent away. And you see it here. Throws the uppercut, jab, uppercut. He closes the distance here. And to prevent the opponent from going into him, he's going to use that shuto uke. Boom. Frame. Again. And you guys look. Of course, this is modified for head strikes. So his hand's up here. He's not grabbing the opponent's limb with this one. But that forearm frame, as you guys can see, right into the neck. And it keeps that perfect distance so that he could actually throw strikes with his free hand or throw an elbow over the top. Boom. And that Naihanchi elbow is something we'll talk about later in this video, so stick around. Now this next clip here is just another angle, but it's a continuation of John Jones's fight. He uses his arm now horizontally across his opponent's throat to lift his opponent's chin up so that he can throw strikes. This reminds me so much of a rising block in karate. Boom, right to the uppercut. And then here's another example of that. And this is a more obvious one. Look at that forearm frame, and the fact that it's angled up into the neck. It reminds me so much of a karate rising block. Again, the block is a misnomer, so it's just a frame against the throat that makes his opponent stand tall. so that you could throw strikes, and then he reframes and strikes and reframes. So the next thing we're gonna look at is a foot sweep, and this happens a lot in actual long range karate sparring, but it also happens a lot in the clinch too. If you think about that twisting motion, if you just get your underhooks on somebody and then twist them, stick your foot out, and they're gonna trip over that foot, you see it a lot in kata, and you see it working a lot in MMA as well. So quickly looking at this clip, he has the overhook here, and all he's gonna do is put his foot out here, as you can see, like a hockey stick against the shin, and he's gonna rotate his upper body into that direction so that the person trips up and they can't take a step here. You can also see that he's leaning back here so that the person's really overextended, so they're really tripped over this torque. You see the exact same thing happen here. So the person in white has control over the arm and the shoulder, and they're going to circle out, and they're going to stick this foot out here so the person in black trips over their leg. There it is. Big step with the left, and then you're going to circle your upper body, and this right leg here trips out their leg. So now the third one, we're gonna look into leg kicks. This is funny because leg kicks have been a new evolution in MMA probably in the last 10 years. And then we're talking about calf kicks too that came about in the last few years. But leg kicks have been around for so long in traditional karate. And especially in arts like Kyokushin, think about all the different ways you kick the leg: outside of the thigh, inside of the thigh, outside calf, inside calf, shin kicks. Because you want to think with Kyokushin, you are limited by what you can do. You have to just learn how to strike different areas and different targets. They learn to beat up the opponent's leg like crazy. So all these new innovations that are coming to MMA in recent years have been around with Kyokushin for such a long time. I don't have much to commentate on this one, but it's really about the timing and where the Kyokushin guy kicks here. If you guys haven't checked out like the 100-man kumite stuff, it's really fascinating to see, just because, you know, it's one guy versus 100 other black belts one at a time. Once you get to 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, the last 10, you see where the indomitable spirit comes from in Japanese karate especially. It's inspiring. So if you guys are ever bored, just put up an hour-long video of these guys taking the 100-man challenge. And look at this, he kicks all the way through both legs. He still has the hockey stick foot there. This leg here acts like a scythe that just goes across both legs. Again, inside of the thigh kick here on both people. That sets up a high kick to the head. This is another great timing one here. Before his opponent's head kick can reach his head, he's off center, so he has some head movement. He's going to kick out the base leg here, sweep it out from the bottom. Nice little reverse punch on the way down too. And going back to the clinch range stuff, so the underhooks, you see these in styles like Uechiru. Their whole style is built upon having a solid structure and having your arms underneath your opponent's armpits. This allows you to move them around. This allows you to manipulate them for your throws and your takedowns. And also allows you to sneak in those strikes too within the clinch. So the underhook is such a big part of karate, traditional Okinawan karate, that you see all the time in MMA. It's so common in MMA that you just kind of breeze through it because you don't think of it as a technique itself, but it's so important in the grappling or the clinch range because that's how you establish a dominant position, that's how you set up your throws and everything like that. Alright, so this one's a cool one. This one's from Gochi Hokata, and you can see the leg goes forward and forcibly goes backwards, and the same side arm pushes forward. We always taught it as like, you know, punch, punch, kick, punch. But if you think of it in the clinch range, that forward leg is like you're tripping something out. It reminds me a lot of like an osotogari in judo. You see this is a trailing arm that punches afterwards. This is the leg that's going to kick forward. See how it kicks forward and then it forcibly goes back. And then this one forcibly pushes forward. And you end up with this osotogari, major outer reap. I always see Nahanchi as a lot of clinch fighting, grappling, but you could see if you imagine someone's inside this loop here, you raise them up, especially with this thigh here, it's like you're assisting throwing somebody into the air, and then you turn them over like a hip toss, and the elbow flares out because they're attached to you, and you throw them to the ground here. And you see that in this clip here. So there's the closed loop again. You're gonna lift them up, even with the leg raise here, just like in the kata, and then once the leg raises up, you're gonna drop them down to the ground. Boom. Finally, that leads us into the clinch elbow, and I love this one. You see it a lot in Naihanchi katas, you see it a lot in other karate katas as well. But the idea that you establish a clinch range, you get a dominant position, and then you can throw strikes off of that dominant position, that is super vital in Okinawan karate. Not only strikes, you have joint locks, you have manipulations, you have takedowns, you have sweeps, you have throws. But specifically the clinch elbow to me is like quintessential karate, just because you have the elbow strike, which is coming from karate, you have a grip behind the head or a grip behind the tricep, and you're having all these manipulations, pulling somebody off center. You have the ability to manipulate their posture. You have the ability to strike not only the head, different parts of the head, you could strike to the body too, and all these elbows happen within the clinch, and you could see them happening in kata as well. You also have vertical elbows and horizontal elbows and different angles that you can attack. So yeah, hopefully that was a cool video for you. Again, like I said in the beginning, my goal is to bring back practical karate by showing practical applications to karate katas, and the best way for me to show those practical applications to the mainstream audience is to show them in parallel with MMA fights. In today's society, that's as real as you can get. I'm not saying that's self-defense, but it's as pressure tested as you can get. People watch it as entertainment. So if I could bridge the gap between entertainment, UFC, MMA, and also the traditional arts, then that's what I'm here for. If you like this video, check out karatebreakdown.com. I have tons of breakdowns as well. Like this video and subscribe if you haven't. Take care.